Hey, what's up, my compelling storytellers? It is Rain, your storytelling guide, here with a tip on how you can make more money selling things online. Use stories in your item descriptions. Okay, so right now we're in the middle of this pandemic, still, and even if we weren't, sometimes we find ourselves needing extra sources of income. Okay, I'm in this place right now. On top of that, I just moved, so I've got things that don't fit in the new house and we need to get rid of them. So I've been able to kind of make some money on the side by selling things on eBay, Amazon, and Facebook Marketplace. Now, I've been experimenting with this and it has been working like gangbusters for me. I've been telling stories in the item descriptions instead of just saying, for sale couch or whatever. I've been telling a little story about, what role it played in my life. So I tried this a variety of different ways and tested it a few times. And I'm going to show you real examples of how I have done it, but it has just worked like a charm, and you can clearly see what kind of descriptions work and what kind of descriptions don't work. So a quick little history lesson, some research to show that this is a real thing. In 2009, there was an experiment done called significant objects, okay? And what they did was Rob Walker and Joshua Glenn took $129 worth of gadgets and gadgets that they had found at yard sales in various places. And they hired marketers and writers to craft stories as the item descriptions to sell them on eBay. What happened? They sold them for a combined $8,000. $129 to $8,000. That is a heck of a flip, people. So I wanted to try the same kind of thing. Here are a few different examples of how it worked and how it didn't work for me. All right, so let's start off simple. Let's start off easy. I had this little baby walker, right? That our baby never really used it. We just moved. We're trying to get rid of stuff. And honestly, my wife wanted to just get rid of it, to trash it. So I was like, no, let me see. I think that we can sell it. I mean, this is cute. It's in good shape. It's like, I think someone would want to buy this. And so I listed it, and I told a little bit of a story here, not much, but I said, super cute walker for any sea-loving baby. It gets a smile out of somebody. Our baby just hates the sea. Ha ha. Maybe it gets a little laugh out of them. So, and then I just said she never ended up using it, so we'd love for this to go to a new home. Very little, but it's a little bit, it's more than just saying, baby walker for sale, right? It's just a little bit of context, a little bit of cuteness that you add to it. My wife said that she would have never, if she was the buyer, she wouldn't have paid more than $20 or $25 for something. I listed it for $30 and sold it like the next day. Okay, so next up we had something a little bit bigger. We had a couch, two matching chairs that went together as a set, and actually a coffee table and an end table that went together with it as a whole set. We were trying to get rid of everything. But I said, and all this is true from my experience. I talked about my experience. I said, deep couch with big pillows and two matching chairs. If you remove the pillows on the couch, it's basically a twin-sized bed, so it's great for napping or for guests to sleep. $500 for everything, which will basically have your whole living room set up with this one purchase. But here's what was key about this one. I did a couple of things where I addressed issues that they might be going through, right? I said, with this one purchase, you outfit your whole living room. That's a great selling point. So right there, I'm putting myself in the minds of them and their issue. I'm empathizing with them, and I'm potentially solving a problem for them. And then secondly, I spoke from my experience, but I thought this may appeal to someone. I said the part about this would be great. It's almost a twin bed if you remove the cushions. It's a really deep, wide couch. Now, guess who I sold it to? I sold it to an Airbnb owner who is outfitting their rental home, their short-term rental. Now, do you think the fact that they could fit in one more guest on that couch was a selling point? Absolutely, because they can charge more for more guests. And so if you have a big wide couch that somebody, especially a kid, could fit in and an extra person could sleep, that's going to be beneficial for their customers. This one took a little bit longer to sell. It was like a week or two, but it did sell. It sold for $400, and it went to the perfect person, basically who I was appealing to with the story that I told. Okay, so next up, I had a stainless steel prep table that you would see in restaurants and things like that. And I didn't really tell any story at all. I did include those details that say like new, commercial grade, rarely used, mostly just for storage. This is all still telling the story. I'm telling the story that it doesn't have, dings and dents in it, and it's not rusted, and that it was barely used. So that is an element of storytelling, including those details. But really, this one wasn't a story. I just put this one out there. Let me tell you something. I wish I had 1,000 of these. I wish I would have priced it more. I have never gotten as many inquiries for something I was selling online as I did this thing. Within an hour, 20 to 30 people hit me up about this thing. I sold it, the first person that came along and said, I'm in the car on the way right now. I sold it for $75. I should have charged a lot more, but my problem was solved. I got it out of the house, and his problem was solved. He got a table for a good price. Okay, so this one is probably my favorite. I went all in the storytelling for this product, okay? I had a dorm fridge, right? A little mini fridge, and I told a hilarious story that was partially true about purchasing this friend for me and the boys when I was living in an awesome bachelor pad. And then my girlfriend got pregnant and we moved in together. After the baby came, we got married, and she made me put the fridge in storage along with my independence and masculinity. Now it is available for you, barely used and just been sitting in storage, but it will get your beers as cold as my wife's heart. Ice cold. Just kidding, I love my wife. But if you need a good mini fridge, this is a great one. And then I ended it with, for the boys. Now, I have never gotten the engagement and likes and emojis and comments that I got from this one. Ton of laughter. People thought it was hilarious. People were saying RIP to the boys. My wife was a great sport about it, but people were saying, I don't even want a fridge, but if I did, I would get yours. I mean, engagement went through the roof. But it did take a little bit longer to sell than the stainless steel prep table. It did get sold. It just took a few days. Then finally, the Big Daddy. This is where I took all the lessons that I had learned in the previous listings, and I put it into selling my car on Facebook Marketplace. And this one, I really leaned into it, and I told a story about when 3 years ago when my Ford Explorer crapped out on me. I needed a car fast, and I found this, cheap 2002, not cheap like bad quality, but affordable 2002 Volvo that had been owned by one family for 15 years. That's telling something they need to know. It had decent mileage for his age, but it was affordable because of a few bumps and bruises. And it never once left me on the side of the road, which is a lot more than I can say about that 2004 Explorer. So now I'm playing with the humor a little bit, still telling my story. This I listed, and within 2 hours I sold it. I marked this up well above what I was willing to take for it, knowing that I would have to negotiate some. And it was bought in 2 hours of my listing. I had a ton of inquiries that were willing to buy it, but it was bought for my asking price within 2 hours. And I chalked that up to the fact that, one, yes, I told the story about myself, but instead of just talking about myself like the dorm fridge, I talked about how it would benefit them, how my experience with it could relate to their experience with it. That was the culmination of what I learned, and that's why I was able to sell such a high ticket item, even though it was only $1,500, in 2 hours, is because I told a great story that engaged people, it grabbed them and gave them some humor, made them laugh, made them know that it was coming from a good place and it was taken care of, but more importantly, it allayed some of the fears that they had about buying a vehicle. Okay, so what's the takeaway? One, nothing beats a good product, okay? Like the stainless steel table, nothing is going to beat something that is in demand that people want, right? That's the first thing you need. But two, if you have a good product but not a good story, you're missing out on engagement and visibility for people who might not have normally seen it. Traffic, right? That's just like the dorm fridge example, okay? Even though it took a little bit longer to sell, tons of comments, tons of engagement. It got seen by more people, and then it did get sold for its asking price just a few days later. But the kicker, when you have a good product that's in demand and people want, like the car, and you tell a good story to go along with it, well, that, my friends, is the secret recipe. That's called making it rain. Yes, I'm aware of the pun. Have a great day, everybody, and keep telling your story.